Hello, welcome to Leader Spotlight. I'm Tracy Clark, the Executive Director for the Louisa County Chamber of Commerce. And today I'm really excited to have Bob Babyok with us. He is the Chairman of the Board of Supervisors for Louisa County. Bob, thank you so much for making time with us today. Why don't we get started with just a little introduction about you and how you came to Louisa County?
Well, that's an interesting question right off the bat. I blame it all on my wife because we had moved 16 times prior to coming here. I asked her where she wanted to retire. I'm so flexible, it's pathetic. So she had never been to Charlottesville. Our daughter was getting her master's degree at UVA, and my wife fell in love with the place. So we said, okay. So it's a great location, 2 hours from DC. 2.5 hours from the ocean. We're in the mountains and low taxes. So what's not to like?
Yeah, it really is a nice place. I love it. I love being in Louisa. Tell us a little bit about, your career path. Like as a board of supervisors, obviously you're serving the community, but have you always been in kind of government type positions, or do you have a business background? What's your story there?
Well, I graduated from college and went into the military right off the bat. I'm in the Vietnam era. So I went in the military in 1967. I was only going to spend 4 years, but I volunteered to go to Vietnam so I could leave with a little bit of honor. And I got what they call reblued. There, I got fired up and I spent 20 years, 3 months, 16 days in the Air Force. Not that I was counting, but the time went by fast. After retiring, I went into the even more hazardous position of running country clubs as a general manager. And that's like working for a lot of people that never heard the word no. So I had my baptism in political intrigue during those years. And my last club was Hidden Valley down in the Salem, Roanoke area. And that was when I turned 70, and I tried to retire, golfed 94 rounds. And even though I'm a poor golfer, I want to say I only impersonate a golfer. But after so many years of so much intense work, I decided this wasn't going to hack it. So I jumped into looking at other opportunities.
Very interesting. So serving in the military, first of all, thank you very much for your service. We appreciate that. I didn't know that you were a vet. So thank you for sharing that. Tell me, how difficult was it to go from working in the business arena, managing a golf course, managing a business, to shifting into public service?
Well, actually, there's a lot of parallels because the bottom line is you're in the service industry and it's doing things for people instead of to people. So as in a general manager of a club, you've got your cast of members of all ages and shapes and sizes, and you're dealing with their hopes, dreams, and aspirations and complaints. So it's a tactful, diplomatic position in also trying to further the aims of the club itself as far as any renovations, construction, and the actual operation of the different aspects of the pool operation, tennis, golf, food and beverage, and all that. So it's a quite wide spectrum of opportunity, plus dealing with as many as 300 to 400 employees. So wow. It's a great opportunity to really get baptized in the political arena.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So tell me, was there any particular catalyst or any particular event that happened that really kind of grabbed hold of you and said, I want to serve Louisa County on the board?
Well, actually, the principal reason I got involved was because of the incumbent, a 12-year incumbent of this position representing the Green Springs district. It just lacked communication skills, in my opinion. So I tried for 3 months to find somebody to replace him. And when I couldn't find anybody to replace him, I threw my hat in the ring. And I guess as it turned out, I fooled enough people to get elected.
So how long have you been serving on the board?
This is my fourth year. And so they're coming up for election this November. So it's a 4-year term. So I'm coming, this year is my last year of the first term.
Oh, I see. I see. Well, tell me a little bit about just jumping back to your work in the business arena. One of the things that I like to do with these interviews is get advice from leaders and what they have done. Do you have any advice, tips for business owners or people in the service industry based on your leadership style?
Well, I am pretty proactive, and that would be one thing that I would encourage. I've always had a close tie with the chamber in all of the different places I've been operating business and especially country clubs. And usually if you're in a prominent country club, that's where the meetings usually are hosted because it's a convenient vehicle, convenient place. So I was baptized early on the involvement and how important that involvement is with the business community. And so I really would encourage everybody to be more vocal, to be more participating, to be active, action oriented, to resolve any difficulties or shortcomings that they feel can be improved.
Yeah, that's a really good insight. I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of business owners and people in the community don't have a clear understanding of one of the main purposes of the chamber is to really be a voice for the business and working with our local county governments and our state governments and things like that. I'm glad you bring that up because it really is important. We're here to help and serve just like you are in your role, serving the citizens of the county and the businesses and so forth. Can you tell me a little bit about, what's kind of the vision or purpose for your role as chairman and the board of supervisors? Is there something that you have kind of hung your hat on, like when I leave office or if I leave office, what is something that I'm trying to make sure gets accomplished or moves forward?
Well, I think it's an overall objective, and that is enhancing the quality of life for all and the benefits for all of our residents of our county. We have a very diverse county in the fact that we, in the 7 districts, are so different. The Green Springs district, way out west, is a bedroom community of Charlottesville. The Lake district is principally Spotsylvania and to some degree Short Pump and Richmond. So, and then we have all the other in between. So we have quite a diversity. So to mold the hopes, again, the hopes and dreams, and also the concrete improvement to bring about a better Louisa, because we have to forecast looking into the future what our needs are going to be. And one of our key things is economic development, because that is the funding source for future development and future improvement to our county without raising taxes. So economic development is a driver for me and all of the other supervisors.
Yeah, that's a really important point to get out there to the community, because I don't think a lot of people understand the importance of economic development and why bringing business and industry is so important to a community. I appreciate you sharing that insight. And tell me, I know you guys just made a really huge announcement about broadband. Is there anything maybe you want to share a little bit about how that relationship is coming along? I know the announcement was just earlier this month.
Yes, in fact, that was 3 years in the making. We had some obstacles and some problems working it through because of the real issue, the reality of the expense of getting hard fiber to every resident in in our county. The Green Springs District was blessed because it was in the footprint of CVAC. So that was kind of a given, but not all areas within Zion Crossroads, for example, north of there in the district are still very rural. But getting all three partners to agree on a common goal and a means of achieving that goal. So that was the real work. And finally, with some hard arm twisting and a big incentive of putting out that $15 million bait to incentivize it happening sooner versus later was the key catalyst. Now, we want to make sure that people understand that we're not starting from one side of the county working over. In fact, it'll be multidimensional based on where the equipment is at present day, and then we'll spread out like a spider web from each of those areas to cover the county in a more, I guess, programmed way, in a way that makes sense economically and from a capability standpoint. So it'll be mushrooming out, but it's still, we're pushing for 3 years versus the 4 years that we've agreed to. But with a little effort here and there, we hope to get it done faster.
I think that is, I mean, that's obviously one of the biggest issues that I hear a lot about. Is there anything that the business community or even the general public, general population, is there anything that they can do to help support this this movement to get broadband across the county? What can we do as a community to help support and move the process along quicker? Is there anything that we can do?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not really sure at this point in time. I think the main factor that I would like to relate is asking for people's patience and understanding because of the hurdles that we still face in getting this accomplished. And what's the service that is going to be offered is going to be an option. It's, in other words, I didn't want people to think that we were foisting or forcing on them this particular advent that we're encouraging to get done here. So, but we need communication. Once again,
Right.
If there's problems, if there's issues, if there's some things that we weren't aware of, I'm hoping the community at large, residents will let us know and keep us up to speed, because our crystal ball is cloudy without open and frequent communication.
Can you share a little bit more about that communication? Like, what is the best process for a constituent to voice their needs, concerns, requests, to make sure that they are addressed on the Board of Supervisors level or with the county? What's the best process for that?
Well, that's been a personal shock to me, or to me, the lack of communication and interface that we have with residents. I don't know of a more important position as far as residents of any county that is more important than the Board of Supervisors that represents them. Yeah, obviously presidential, congressional, statewide, all has some trickle down, but no other official has more direct impact to every resident than the decisions that we make as a Board of Supervisors of our county. So what we can't usually make the best decision. We do our research, we do our analysis, we're very careful in trying to get a broad picture of what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and how it's to be done. But that's where it's so important to get feedback. I don't care whether it's concerns, complaints, advice, just general information. We need that two-way communication vehicle to make sure that we're doing the right thing.
So do you recommend letters, email, phone calls? I mean, is there a particular process that they have to follow, or it's really just reaching out? I know you have email and communication numbers on the county website. Is that how they would go about?
Absolutely. All of the above works. Phone calls, emails, stopping me at Food Lion, getting communicative with your district supervisor, because we rely on each other to present issues relating to our particular district. So that's why that communication with your district supervisor is so vital to that process. And yes, any way you can contact them, the addresses are available, and phone numbers, and participation at our board meetings is somewhat disappointing as well. We live stream it, and we make available both phone call into the meetings, or people can address issues in writing that can be introduced at the meeting. So there's a lot of factors there, but it really isn't. I think it's more important to contact your supervisor in your district so that they better understand the issue rather than be surprised at a board meeting.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, it's always, I think it's important. I mean, that's why you elected them to serve as your voice in the community. So as it relates to the meetings, I know that with some of the restrictions, they have to sign up in advance. Is that correct? If
Yeah.
attend a meeting.
Actually, the best vehicle, in fact, I sent it out to my constituents. If you go to the website, it'll say how you can participate and what you could do in the way you want to participate. In other words, there's a process of either calling in to register your interest in attending the meeting, or phoning in a request during the meeting, or giving a written statement that you wish to have entered, an email. If you go to the website, it defines it. There's 2 paragraphs that really cover all of the ways that communication can be conducted with the board.
Well, that's great. Well, what I hear from you, which I think is really, really important to kind of drive home, is that you guys really are willing and want to hear from the citizens and the business community to know and understand what their challenges, what their needs might be, so you can make better decisions. And by being informed, by having them communicate with you, that's the first step in the process, really,
Absolutely essential. I mean, that we represent, as you said, we represent our residents, and we want to know from their viewpoint, because it does have impact on us. I mean, lots of people, think of things or say things that we had no idea about, and it's really much, much more important to hear from constituents and to know that our door is open, literally the old phrase, but our ears are open too, and that it's just so important.
Yeah, and I would also like to say that I think it's important for the citizens and the businesses to also recognize accomplishments and advancements and things that you guys are doing, not always complaining and so forth, but you guys are really doing a lot to move the county forward. And so we just really appreciate your work and your efforts. Before we kind of wrap this up, is there anything that maybe I haven't asked you that you want to share for the benefit of everyone?
Well, you were very good in the questions you asked, so you covered most of the really important points. I do want to give all of our residents the aura of expectation, because we have some tremendous announcements that are going to be made over the next 30 to 60 days that have also been long worked on, and we're getting closer to getting a resolution. We got to wait till the ink is dry, but I think people are going to be very pleasantly surprised. And I think it'll restore maybe some faith and maybe some confidence in what we do and how we do it. We are open to all suggestions, of course, but again, I think people are going to be very, very pleased with the announcements that are on the cusp of being consummated.
Now, you just gave a big cliffhanger. That probably wasn't fair. Now everybody's going to be on pins and needles. I know I am. So, well, that's very exciting. I want to remind everybody that you can go to the county website. You can also go to the louisachamber.org website and find contact information. If you go under community info, find a business, you'll be able to find County of Louisa and be able to connect with them. But, you know, as Bob mentioned, go directly to the website, find out how to get involved, speak to your representative. If you don't even know who your representative is, you can find that out on the county website and let your voice be heard. And businesses, you know, do the same thing. Get involved with the chamber as well, because we want to know what your issues and concerns are so we can help you as well. We work great with the county. They're a great partner. We're here, as Bob mentioned, to lift the economy. So it's a great partnership. Thank you so much again, Bob, for being with us. And we look forward to those exciting announcements. You got to keep me posted.
Thank you for inviting me.
All righty.